Hello and welcome to the first of my bike videos. Can you tell that I'm uncomfortable because I don't really know what to do with myself? Well, that's the first thing that's gone well. This wind is a good time. We are doing a bike cleaning for beginners. I always get told off for not keeping my bike clean. For a while, I really didn't know what part of my bike I really did need to clean. Now, I've got a disc bike, so this cleaning is a little bit different to if you had a cantilever brake bike. So there's certain parts of the bike that you really do need to clean and clean them well so that you don't have to buy bits as regularly. I've been quite poorly recently, so I haven't been out on my bike, and my bike is fairly clean. So let's not look at the dirty to clean, let's look at the way in which I clean the bike. Let's begin. There are a few things that you need to make sure that you've got with you. I now use these little rubber gloves, you know, these gloves. I've actually never worn them before, but my dad told me that I need to start wearing them so I don't get chain oil on it, question mark. You need some chain cleaner, some bike wash. Side note, I did used to use fairy liquid. Not sure if that's a good thing anymore. A sponge, also just realised that I've left that inside as well. And then you need some WD-40 to put on the chain, and a rag to dry it with, and a paintbrush to paint on the chain cleaner. So the first thing that you want to do in your bike cleaning process is put your chain cleaner on your chain in your cassette so that it can be sitting in and cleaning whilst you're doing the rest of the bike. So that's step one. Oh! So whilst that chain cleaner is soaking in, I like to go ahead and clean the frame. This is where I normally will get all the mud off the frame, especially this one. No, this one. Essentially, you want to make sure that you get all the mud off the frame now, but because this is disc, do not, I repeat, do not put cleaner on the disc. I've been told from several reliable sources that basically you don't really need to ever clean the disc. At most you want to just give it a very slight brush off to get the mud, but if you put soap or cleaner on the disc, then it's likely that the brake pads will stick together and it's not a good time. So avoid cleaning the actual disc brake, this number and the one at the back, at all costs. So I definitely got a little bit of soap on the old brake pads, so let's get that rinsed off ASAP, Rocky. Wow. Now we have a non-soapy bike and you've rinsed it off. The next thing to do is move on to the cleaning of the chain. That's not ideal. Left my rag on the floor. Rag is now wet. Chain cleaner has been on for about 10 minutes. New dry rag. The way that I've learnt best to do it, grab the chain with the rag and move the pedal. You just go like that across the whole of the chain. So essentially what you want to do when you're doing this, and it does take a bit of time, is moving through each of the gears and again just clamping onto the chain, moving the pedal round, and you want to essentially do that all the way up until the chain is not putting any more new oil onto the rag. So it does take a little bit of time depending on how dirty the chain is. Towel off the bike. The next thing we're going to do is clean right inside the cassette. Going back to what I said at the beginning of this video about the few things that you really do need to do to make sure that you look after your bike and you don't have to buy new parts too soon and that it doesn't fall apart and general just wear and tear. This is one thing that you really do have to make sure that you do, and this is a really good trick I've worked out to clean it quickly and efficiently, and it doesn't take too long, and once you've sort of got the motion in the ocean, then you can sort of just stick music on and go away with it, and it'll probably take 15-20 minutes, but it really is worth it, and it stops getting all the grit and the mud and just general wear and tear. It just helps to alleviate all of that. you want to take your rag and place it in between two of the chain rings on the cassette. Just imagine that you are just essentially going back and forth in a full circle through the cassette, and just a few gentle pushes, and then you can move on to the next one. And it's pretty simple. It does take a little bit of concentration at first, but once you've got the hang of it, it is fairly easy and really does help. And then we'll just change gears, which I still find really complicated when I'm not on the bike. I find working out which gear is which when I'm not on the bike, it still takes me a bit of time. You want to move the chain out of the ring it was in when you first started, and then you can get in and clean those final few chain rings. See how it's just pushing around like that? That's the motion that you want to get into without leaving all of your threads on the bike. That's good. Love it. Love that. You want to give your chain one last clamp, or you could just take your chain off. The chain's back on. I've learned to try not to panic when my chain falls off. And then you want to take some lube, and only a little bit, you don't need loads. And then I just spray it on here like this. You just want to run your rag over the chain again to disperse that little bit of lube. That's going to keep everything watertight, not rusty. That, or some WD-40 on your metal bits. That's really important. And then, you know, that's about it really. We have one clean bike. I think the moral of the story is every day's a school day, and I'm, you know, learning a little bit more and more every time I do something. Let's help each other out. That's what I've learned so far about cleaning a disc bike for beginners. So the three really important things to remember when cleaning your disc bike, if you're a beginner or if you don't really know what you're doing or if you don't have a lot of time, is make sure that you clean your chain and your cassette and go through each of the chain rings. That's really important. Don't get any form of soap or cleaner on the brake or the brake pads, because that will really hinder them, and it could mean that when you take your wheels out that the brake pads stick together, and that is not what we want. And third and final, make sure that you put either WD-40 or GT85 and or some lube. To be honest, I don't really know what the difference is, but on the metal bits, just so that they stay watertight and that they don't rust, because rust things mean that you've got to replace them sooner, and we don't want that. So they are the three things that I have learned and have found the most useful when cleaning my bike sort of in a rush. I hope that you have enjoyed the first video in the actual sort of like getting into cycling. Let's learn together, because I don't really know what I'm doing, but these are the things that are working for me and that I've found have helped me along the way in the past sort of 6 months. Please make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already and like the video. All my links are down below, and also if you've got any bike cleaning tips or anything that I haven't mentioned or I should mention, then just comment them down below, because then we can all learn from each other. That's pretty much it really, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for how I don't keep to be spending hours. I now remember why I don't film outdoors. Love this stance that I'm doing as well, love it.